Yo, welcome back to another Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. How's everybody doing today? Making sure everything is going good. Happy New Year, the first show of 2023. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Let's hope that this year is a lot better than last year, man. Let me tell you. I tell you what, man, it's been a crazy few years, hasn't it? So let's just hope that this year will be a better year. Glad you guys are here. Welcome to Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. I am your host, Jeff Woolwine, where we talk about the Phoenix Lights, the UFOs, and the petroglyphs that match, not only around Phoenix, Arizona, but also your neck of the woods also. This is a show where we just don't go on hearsay. We go on proven facts. Glad you guys are here. I'm a native to Phoenix, Arizona. Been seeing these UFOs ever since I was a kid. That's what got me into this, because everywhere I was going, I was seeing these things in the sky. So I had to find out what was going on. 2004, I ventured out to find the Phoenix Lights, and I did. Or did they find me? I don't know. You be the judge. Something happened. I discovered the lights out there on the east side of South Mountain, and they led me to South Mountain, a holy mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, where the rock art explains on exactly what these lights are. These 1,000-year-old plus petroglyphs out there carved by the Hohokams, the first Native Americans here in this valley. They were the ones who actually interacted with the Phoenix Lights and all these other UFOs that we see in the skies today. And their stories on the mountains around Phoenix is like ancient scrolls. It's the true history of Phoenix. It's the true history of the Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights isn't anything new. Matter of fact, when you really look into all this, you'll soon learn that these things have always been with us. As a matter of fact, so many people have asked me, well, where they come from. Well, you know what? This is their home also. They're not from Alpha Centauri. They're not from Mars. They're not from Venus or Saturn or outside of our galaxy. This is their planet too. There's a lot of people don't realize this yet. Not only are these things are not crafts, they're living entities, but they're this is their home. They've always been here. This is what the Native Americans have always taught us. They've always told us. The rock art explains on how to see these things, where to see these things, what to look for. All we have to do now, because the Hohokams, the natives, they've already documented this for us. The ancient wise ones has already documented this information for us. All we have to do now is simply open up our eyes, have an open mind, and look at what they're talking about here. And not just say, well, it's just a story, it's just a myth. But what if it's not? What if they're really telling the truth here? What if they're telling you, look, I saw something in the sky. And I'm sorry, I'm, back here in the day, and I don't have video cameras. I don't have cameras, but I've got these rocks out here. I got these boulders. I got these mountains where I'm seeing these things at. So I'm going to tell the people, the future generation, our generation, what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing. I'm going to draw what I'm seeing, man. The prehistoric photographs of what was seen in the skies and what occurred in the spots around where the petroglyphs can be seen at. This is the reason why we find some petroglyphs on this side of the mountain, but no petroglyphs on that side of the mountain. It is because nothing happened over there. It's right here on where to understand what's going on. Glad you guys are here. We're going to talk about how to correctly film UFOs, how to do it, what kind of instrument to use. I mean, I know it's really easy because, we carry our phones everywhere we go, and our phones have cameras, but to actually film a UFO in the sky, a real one, I mean, the camera just doesn't do it justice. The phone cameras, they just don't do it justice. The best thing to do is to use a video camera. This is why spit it out, dude. Because you can get a lot better zoom on it. You can get a better zoom. You can get a better look at it, and always use a video camera with a viewfinder. Because I've tried using, these regular cameras with just the window and the sun glare and everything, and it's hard to hold it steady. I mean, you really need a viewfinder, so you can look in there, you can zero in on what you're seeing. And also, always, man, because there's so many people out there, that everything in the sky is a UFO. Or they're trying to hoax a UFO. They're trying to CGI a UFO. They're trying to make you believe that a planet or a star is a UFO. And that's what I've been running into, for 20 years now. And so I always make sure, you always want to make sure you always film the objects leaving the sky. Why do I say this? Because this is my personal experiences here. I mean, I consider myself an expert when it comes to the Phoenix Lights. I've seen them so many times. I've videotaped them so many times. I've seen these things in the sky that a lot of people haven't yet. They soon will. But I've filmed a lot of crazy stuff. I know how they act. I know what to look for on video. I know what it looks like on video. I know what a correct UFO looks like on video. I know what a CGI video looks like. I know what a flare video looks like. I know what a balloon. I know what trash. I know what airplanes. I know what helicopters. I know what planets. Why? Because if you're gonna be a serious investigator, like myself, you have to investigate all the stuff that's normal, right? You have to look at what airplanes do. You have to look at what trash does. You have to look what bugs do. You have to look what flares do. You have to familiar yourself with all the normal stuff in the sky. So you won't get fooled or you won't be mistaken because, you don't want to come out looking like a fool. You want to make sure what you're talking about, what you're showing is a real UFO because, man, the critics will be all over you. I know. I was there, all right? And I'm trying to teach you on how to avoid all this controversy or BS or because of my own personal experiences. I've been up and I've been down. I've been kicked. I've been called flares and all this other crap. You know it. Those of you who've been watching me for the last 20 years, you see what I've been going through. But yet I've always stuck to my guns. Why? Because I've seen it, right? I videotaped it, right? And I did one more step further than any of these people out here in Phoenix has done. Is I asked the Native Americans what they say about these things. I went to the petroglyphs, man. The petroglyphs are talking about these things in the sky. No one's ever done that before. Because they're going on what everybody else is saying. They're not looking into the history. They're not doing the proper investigations. Which you have to do. You just have to do that. You can't go off hearsay. Like some of these other sky watchers out there. Well, in 1997, this huge spaceship went over Phoenix. But nobody got video of it, right? It went from 1,000 people witnessing to everybody in Phoenix, right? Witnessing a spaceship going over Phoenix, but not one video. But the videos we do have, what are these lights doing? They're on the west side of Phoenix. They're on the west side of South Mountain. They come in, they do an arc, not a V. It's not a V. Come on, people, let's look at the data. Let's look at what we can prove. Not hearsay on someone trying to sell you books, sell you movie tickets at Harkins Theater every year, trying to get on a soapbox, and trying to get on news, and trying to get on TV off of hearsay. You can't go on hearsay, man. If you're going to come out and present yourself and talk to the world and say, yeah, a spaceship flew over the city going 8 miles an hour, a mile-wide V-shaped craft. If you're going to make yourself public like that, you better be able to back it up. But yet what? It's been over 20 years and not one single shred of evidence of anything flying over the city of Phoenix. I just can't believe this. Why are people buying into this, right? Oh, thousands of witnesses and the governor saw it. Well, first of all, the governor is a politician, right? And his word is just, his credibility kind of flew out the door when he said he was going to get to the bottom of this, but then he brought some people in costumes of aliens, right? And then when he's out of office, then he comes around and says, oh, I saw him. I chased him, but I couldn't get a camera, right? The people who did film these things, why did they get them on film in the first place? Especially Tom King, because he was seeing them weeks and days and months before. So he was ready for it. He was ready for anything to happen in the sky. So if anything was going to fly over the city of Phoenix, like all these people are trying to say, and Dr. Lin and all these other people trying to say something flew over the city, where's the damn video? I don't know. It just boggles my mind. You know, you really have to do your research. And that's what the Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky is all about. It's thorough, complete research. Many, many years of hiking South Mountain, calling down a Native American from the Indian Museum and having him teach me the petroglyphs. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said before. This isn't my interpretation. I'm not making this stuff up as I go, like a lot of people do. I'm telling you what I learned over the years from basically the horse's mouth, so to speak, right? I didn't make this stuff up. The answers have always been out there. You just have to go out there and understand this. Go out there, hike the mountains, man. Understand the petroglyphs, right? Understand the history. Have an open mind. Keep your eyes open. You'll see them. You will. They're there. And they've been there for like thousands of years. And the thing is, you have to pay attention because they make no noise. They cast no shadows. And you won't know that they're there above you unless you pay attention and look up. I got some great videos I want to show you guys tonight. Really some spectacular ones. We're gonna show you how to like understand what a real UFO is, you know, what to look for, you know, how to film them. So let's get into it, guys. Thank you guys for being here. So let's talk about my other channel real quick. Haunted Encounter Adventures. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to that. If you like paranormal ghost hunting and things like that, this is what you want to check out. Haunted Encounter Adventures. Matter of fact, I just got done with a video of the London Bridge. We went out there and checked out the London Bridge, did a ghost hunt out there, did a seance. Great, 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 great time. Check it out. Haunted Encounter Adventures on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button on that. And yeah, find us on Facebook also. I would really appreciate that. And you have any ghost stories and stuff? Hit me up, man. Share it on our page. I'd love to see it. Okay, here comes the big daddy. Here comes the bad boy here. Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Oh my God, everything is in this. You know, it took me so many years putting this book together. Like 15 years of research, all right? Hard research, not hearsay. From someone from a movie theater or someone on TV. This is real stuff, man. This is proven stuff. In this story, it talks about the real history of Phoenix. I wrote this story as like a movie, all right? And it shows petroglyphs, and it shows what happened on some of these altars, and it talks about the giants, it talks about the tombs. Yes, all that stuff is on South Mountain. And it's all in this book. It took me so many years to put this book together. A lot of fact checking, a lot of crossing my T's, dotting my I's. That's it. That's what I did. I finally got, you know, well, the first half, the publishers, they didn't want to do all of the book. So they only did the movie part. And that was out for about, I don't know, 4 years. And then I was able to figure out how to get the original manuscript. I mean, this is like, what, over 1,200 pages here, folks. I mean, this is a lot of stuff, right, in this book. That's one of the reasons why they didn't want to do all of it, because it's color photographs of petroglyphs. There's a lot of information in here. And so finally I was able to figure out how to get it up there, how to get it on Amazon Kindle, and bypass the publishers, try to do this on my own. I finally figured out how to do it. I guess it wasn't available back then, when I first came out with my book. It really wasn't available. I mean, I guess it was, but I just, a lot of it has to do with money. I just didn't have the money, to get it all, up. But now I was able to figure out how to get it up there. Finally, it's up. Get it on Kindle. And like I said, the book is huge, so I had to break it up into 2 parts. But don't worry, it's only $3, right? Only $3 to find out the history of Phoenix, Arizona, to find out who the first park ranger is, to find out where to find these tombs at, to find out what to look for, to understand what the Phoenix Lights is, the petroglyphs, the rock art, the history, old maps and old news articles of Phoenix. Man, it's all here. And this is stuff that hasn't been talked about in 80 years. And it's only for both books, you're going to spend like $6. Not bad, really. I mean, compared to some of these other people who have no photographs, right? Who have only words and only hearsay, but can't prove anything. Can't back up anything. And they're selling the books, what, $10, $15, $20 a pop when they can't prove anything? But here's a book here, right, with proven stuff, color photographs, still pics from real UFOs I filmed over South Mountain in Phoenix, right? You can't get better than that, man. $3, $6 altogether for both books. You can't go wrong. Find it on Kindle. The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, the cover-up history of Phoenix, Arizona, because it is a cover-up. I mean, I was on the news with the city archaeologists talking about UFOs and the petroglyphs on South Mountain, and no one's ever done that before, right? I kind of broke the ice on that, and it was just baloney. It was just so much baloney. I mean, I got his book. I got the archaeologist's book. I read it. It doesn't talk about the tombs. Doesn't talk about the sacrificing altars. Doesn't talk about the Mayans here in Arizona. Doesn't talk about the gold that's on South Mountain, that's buried on South Mountain on these tombs, right? But the evidence is there. Look at the photographs. Look at what I discovered out there. And the first park ranger of Phoenix, Arizona backs me up on this, dude. And all his documents was in the library, in the downtown Phoenix library, for 80 years. 80 years it didn't talk about. After his death, because he protected the tombs. He protected the gold out there. He found a lot of stuff, right, that wasn't meant to be found. And see what his downfall was? Is he told people about it, which, he shouldn't have, because that's what happened, is because he told people that there's gold out there. And, of course, people are going to go out there and try to dig it up. So, after his passing in the late 1940s, the government went in and made South Mountain a government park, which means if you go in there and start digging stuff up, you're going to go to prison. And why? That's so funny, too. Why South Mountain? Why not pick on the Australia Mountains? Why not pick on the White Tank Mountains or Camelback Mountain or the Superstition Mountains, right? Why South Mountain? It's because there's stuff there. There's stuff buried there that they don't want you to find out. They don't want you to dig up. Because it will rewrite the history of Phoenix, in which this book does. This book tells the true history of Phoenix. And where did this history come from? It came from the rock art around South Mountain, or around Phoenix, Arizona. The correct interpretation of these petroglyphs tells a story of the history of this Valley of the Sun. That's what it's all about. All the mountains around Phoenix is talking about what's going on here. And so Charles Holbrook, he uncovered this. The natives at that time, they trusted Charles, and they told him about the gold. They told him about what happened to the Holcombs, right? Where they went. The history of the land. And so he was there to protect it, and he did. And in return, he told some people where it was, where some of these places were. And then, in his book, he writes that he was chasing people off the mountain, digging up the gold and stuff. So now it's, 2023, right? And there's no mention of this. The archaeologist doesn't talk about this. They made it a government park. During the Depression, before World War II, they sent in the CCC, the Civil Conservation Society, group, CCC, Civil Conservation Society. No, I don't know. I can't think of it right now. Forgive me. But they sent in the CCC to go in there and clean up the park to make it a government park. And so what did they do? They built ramadas. They blew up petroglyphs. They dug mines, and there are mines out there that you can go explore. Be careful, though, because you will fall in, and it's a bad thing. I don't suggest going in there, but they are open, and there are mines there, and they did pull out about $60,000 worth of gold and silver out from South Mountain before World War II happened. But why are they blowing up petroglyphs? Well, they wanted to turn it into a family-oriented park. And pictures of demonic creatures and flying serpents and flying crosses and things picking people up and sacrificing and all this stuff just didn't go well with what they had in mind for a family-oriented park. So they blew up this petroglyphs. Not only did they, that's one of the reasons, but another reason, when someone like myself comes around and understands the petroglyphs, they tell you the next story. They tell you where the sacred spots are. They tell you where some of the tombs are. And they tell you more of the detail on what happened here. And so it's a cover-up. It's exactly a cover-up that's going on here in Phoenix. It's the biggest cover-up, in my opinion, of the world. Because these things that we see in the sky are real. They have been here before. They were here before us, right? And when you look into the history as much as I have, the petroglyphs, dude, the petroglyphs talk about where the Holcomb people went. And unfortunately, it led to their downfall. When they saw the Phoenix Lights and when the Phoenix Lights interacted with them, it's all in the book, it led to their downfall. And that is the biggest secret here in Phoenix, is that these lights are real, and they were the reason why the Holcomb people disappeared. So they're not going to come out and tell you that these things are the leading cause of what happened to the first people who lived here. Because if they actually admit this, how many people are going to stay in that valley, right? How many people are going to understand, that believes this, is going to stand up? They're going to be afraid. And that's exactly what happened to the people who survived that. They saw the lights coming down, picking people up, taking them off into the sky. And they hid in caves, and they were afraid. And when it was all over, they vowed never to return to this valley in the sun again. Never to live in this valley. So they buried the gold. Charles Holbrook writes in his book, The First Park Ranger. He writes in his book, he says, the gold was as tall as the highest saguaro cactus and as round as the sun. And they buried all this gold in these tombs on South Mountain. And they vowed never to come back here to this valley, because they knew if they were going to continue to live here in Phoenix, then they would have to go back to war with the spirits of the earth and sky. Not spaceships, not crafts, but spirits, man. And so they gathered up belongings and they took off. They went back to Mexico. And they vowed never to come back. They cursed this land, man. This land is cursed. Because of the Phoenix Lights. Because of what is flying around this mountain. I know it's crazy, but that is the story that I dug up. I was going into this thinking, wow, the Phoenix Lights, it's a miracle. UFOs are here. This is a miracle. It is a miracle, right? I mean, it is, it is a miracle. They're fascinating when you watch them, when you see them. I mean, it's incredible. No wonder the ancient ones. No wonder the Hohokams. No wonder these tribes around the world worship these things as gods because they didn't know better. It's a miracle in the sky, man. It's signs and wonders, right? Just like what we read. Signs and wonders in the heaven. That's what's going on, man. That's what's up. And so no wonder they were fooled into thinking that this was their gods. That this is what they were supposed to believe in. So I was thinking, this is great, right? But the more and more and more the research that I did as years progressed and the study of the petroglyphs and understanding the petroglyphs and understanding the story and verifying everything and connecting the dots, man, I did a 180 on this, dude. I'm going down this road thinking everybody else, this is great, this is cool, UFOs are great, blah, blah. But the history and the evidence, people, is hitting me in the face. And it's taking me down a different trail here. And I'm doing a 180 on this, dude. And I'm like, man, wait, no wonder. No wonder they will never tell you what is here, right? They will never tell you. There's never going to be disclosure. I don't care what anybody says. The real history of these things, what these things really, really are, they're not going to tell you. They're going to mislead you. And a lot of reasons is because people understand technology. We understand airplanes. We understand, the space shuttles and things like that. We understand nuts and bolts and technology, okay? We can relate to that. But when you turn things around and you come back and you say, wait a minute, that's a living creature in the sky. That's a snake, right? That's Quetzalcoatl, right? That's a flying serpent up there. And he's moving, he's flying with no propulsion, and he's not a spaceship, he's alive, right? And you look at the petroglyphs, and the petroglyphs are showing you that this snake, he morphs, he anthropomorphs, he changes, he shape-shifts, like what the natives are trying to tell us all these years, that these things are shape-shifting, and they shape-shift into people, right? Into animals, they mimic animals and lambs and snakes and diamonds and orbs and lights. And it's not a spaceship. It's not a little green guy up in there. But that light is the creature, is the entity, is the living being. That light is not a spaceship. It's a living creature. Man, I first discovered that in 2005, and when I was doing the pilot for the UFO Hunter Show and the Ancient Aliens TV series, I was trying to tell these people, look, man, this is something different, dude. And when the shows finally aired, because I was doing this research way before these shows was even a thought, okay? I was up on the mountain. I was filming these things 2 years before, they came out with the UFO Hunter Show and Ancient Aliens. As a matter of fact, it was like 2007 when they came back and they wanted to do a real show, a real episode with me. It was called Arizona Lights. You can probably see it on the Roku channel, on the Paranormal channel there, on Roku TV, the Paranormal channel, the UFO Hunter Show, Arizona Lights. They do reruns all the time. And I remember telling me, and this is 2007, and I remember them telling me, look, dude, you're filming some bizarre stuff. The people aren't ready for this. If you're going to talk about these things, then you're going to have to say spaceships. You're going to have to say crafts. Because you're filming some bizarre stuff and the people aren't ready for it. I'm like, dude, man, what is up with that, right? And even then, Pat Uskard, he's like, well, at this time, it's Jeff's personal theory of if these petroglyphs match the Phoenix Lights and these UFOs. What? Are you serious, dude? I mean, are you just saying that? So, I mean, it really made me wonder, dude, because like, are you trying not to give me credit for my discovery here? I was the first one to prove this. There's a lot of, you know, theories. I always think the petroglyphs are talking about UFOs and blah. No one's ever proved it, right? No one's ever proved this, and especially no one's ever, filmed a flying snake in the sky and then see the rock art carved over 1,000 years ago on a mountain out here. I mean, no one's ever done that before, I mean, this is a major discovery, and yet here they're trying to discredit me. And so, but now look at it, right? Look at it now. Look at all these other TV shows now. They're talking about petroglyphs. They're talking about energy. They're talking about ley lines. They're talking about all this stuff. Dude, I was talking about, and I proved that stuff back in 2005. And check this out, right? So I was making the news. I did a lot of news reports. I was doing cable shows. This is before my book came out. Once my book got published, and it's showing tombs, and it's showing sacrificing altars, and it's proving that these things are something different, boom, shut me down, dude. Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. You can't talk about that. That is a taboo subject. We have banned that information for the last 80 years, because you know what we did? Of course you know what I did. I got a hard copy of my book, and I took it to News Channel 15 in Phoenix. And what did they do? Of course, what they do. You know they did this. You know they took that book to the archaeologist, and he's going to say, oh, nope. Nah, you can't do that. You can't talk about that. Because why? Why? Because, well, they don't want people going up there looking for gold. They don't want that. They don't want to start that over again. But it's going to change history of Phoenix. It's going to talk about the Mayans. It's going to talk about the gold and the giants and all this crazy stuff that people trying to say is just a myth, just a legend. But yet these myths and legends are told all over the world from tribes who didn't even know each other at the time. But they're making spirals. They're making pyramids, right? They're doing the exact same stuff all over the world. They don't have internet. They don't have telephones. So why are they doing all that stuff at the same time? And they disappeared at the same time too, right? Is that a coincidence or what? Come on now. Oh my God. Can you just look at the facts here. Look at the evidence, right? I mean, the evidence has been, hitting us in the face all these years, but they're just trying to say it's just a myth. It's just a story. The Egyptians made the pyramids, right? Look, we're the mighty Egyptians, and look what we accomplished back in the day. Okay. Right. Woo. Nope. No giants here. I don't care what the evidence says. There was no giants here. Oh, let's take a look at something kind of cool. Let's see if I can find it now. What is this? Let me talk about the Sphinx here. Let's look at this. Look at the Sphinx. I was watching a History Channel. And they're talking about, the Sphinx and stuff, and they're talking about ancient Egyptian and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, what's up with this? Wait a minute. Is his eyes closed? Is his eyes closed? Is his eyes really, really closed? His eyes are closed, right? Look at his eyes. Let's look at another one. Let's look at another picture. Just to make sure. See if I can find another picture here. Here's another photograph. I took these pictures off the TV screen. Look. Is his eyes closed? Blow that bad boy up. What? Is his eyes closed? This is a completely different picture. But it's looking like his eyes are closed. His eyes are closed. I think I got one more picture. Here's another picture. Blow that bad boy up. Let's look at this closely. Look at that. Is his eyes closed? Looks closed to me. I don't know. I was kind of tripping. Some people would say, well, it's just a shadow of the light. It's just the light, like Andy said. Right? It's probably just the light. Could be. Or is it a prophecy? I don't know. Sure looks closed to me. Isn't that fascinating? I just had to share that with you guys. Okay, let's get on with the business. All right. What to talk about first? As if I haven't been already babbling already. Okay. Let's look at... So, my wife and I and our good friend Doug Weatherby, we went out there on South Mountain last month, right? And there's Doug there. He's over there, and he's out checking out the pyramid. Look at the pyramid back there, right? And we're checking out petroglyphs. And a matter of fact, we saw some orbs out there, and you can find that on our YouTube channel, the Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky. That's pretty cool. And give a shout out to Doug. Hey, guy, glad you were with us. Finally, you got to see some orbs out there in Phoenix. And it was kind of crazy, too, because these orbs appeared right above this rock art panel that's carved right above Doug's head over here, more further back around this pyramid hill. Right back in here on the trail, there's a rock art there, and it's showing some guys looking up at an orb in the sky. And it was crazy, and that's exactly where we saw these fleet of orbs go right over this, right up here in the sky. We saw it. We filmed it. It was great. So yeah, give a shout out to Doug. Glad you saw it, brother. Right on. And let's look at some of these petroglyphs here. So this one here, this is on South Mountain now. This is really kind of hard to see, right? You might be able to make it out, but there's a spiral here. If you follow this, you can kind of make it out. You see that spiral? There's a spiral in there. Let's see if I make it bigger, if that'll help. Well, it seems like the more bigger I get it, the harder it is to see. So maybe if I close it, you can kind of... There's a spiral there. So the spirals are symbols for doorways. So if a spiral is going clockwise, it's a doorway in. And if a spiral is going counterclockwise, it's a doorway out. And so if the spiral ends up, there's a doorway, there's a vortex in the sky. And that's what, Dave, the tour guide from the Indian Museum was telling me, that the spirals are symbols for doorways. It's like looking down into a tunnel. So you're looking down into a tunnel. Especially, man, he blew me away when he says, there's a door in the sky. It's like a vortex. I was like, what? A vortex? Right? Other dimensions? Possibly, yeah. But he says, when the spiral ends, look at this here. See the opening? See that hole there? When the spiral ends in a crack, or for instance, this hole, that is the emergence point. That is the doorway to the underworld. Now, let's look at South Mountain here. Why have these Phoenix Lights, why have these UFOs always been at South Mountain? Why do they continue to visit this mountain? And it's been going on for over 1,000 years, maybe thousands of years. All right, it's been going on way before man was even here. Why? What makes this mountain so special? Why does this mountain have so many symbols of doorways in it? Where are they going? They're going into the underworld? What's an underworld, right? Well, on a scientific analysis, let's look at how South Mountain was made. South Mountain was made by a fault line. As a matter of fact, when I first went into these Phoenix Lights in 2004, I saw them on the east side of South Mountain. right above an electrical power plant that's bored down into that fault line. And in 2004, I'm going to show you a video later on in the show. I'm going to show you a video of these lights over there, but it was right over that power plant. It's sucking up the energy, right? That's exactly why these Phoenix lights and these other UFOs is around this mountain and other mountains around the world and other energy spots around the world, is because of the energy that this certain location is generating. They're out there for the energy. In my years of research and following the sun, tracking the sun like the Holcombs did, and understanding the rock art and looking at the light and shadow markers out there, it aligns with the equinox and the solstice. It aligns with the sun. Why? Why does it do that? Archaeologists want us to believe, well, it's telling the people that it's time to plant corn. It has nothing to do with planting corn. It has everything to do with things in the sky. The Holcombs were sky watchers. They were waiting for these things to return and for these things to leave. They're following the sun. It's a pattern. The first year I sat out there on South Mountain, I sat out there for 3.5 years. I was a mile away from the east side of South Mountain. I lived there. And I had my camera out my window all the time. I was ready. 3 years. The first year, I noticed these things coming and going from South Mountain. Look at the time and date stamps on my videos from my early days. Some of them were here on some of the months, and some were gone on other months. And then they came back on certain months, and then they left on certain months. And then it dawned, the second year it repeated itself. It dawned on me that it was aligning with the sun. They were following the sun. When the sun aligned with this fault line of South Mountain, it opened up a fusion effect. It opened up a doorway. It opened up a big spiral, right? And it causes a fusion effect, and it attracts these things to this energy source. This is the reason why, like, for instance, in Phoenix, we'll see a bunch of UFOs January, February, March, April, May, and June, right? We'll see. And then all of a sudden they're gone after that equinox or after that solstice, and where do they go? Well, they're over there in Florida now. Well, they're over there in Egypt now. Well, they're over there in Japan, right? And then when the sun changes, when the sun moves the alignment in the sky, it's back over here now, right? And it's over this fault line, or it's over California, right? Or it's on the West Coast, right? So it's following the sun. It's a pattern. I discovered this pattern, and the Holcombs knew this also, and they tracked it. They tracked the sun, the changing of the seasons, and it wasn't for planting corn. It was to find out when these things were going to visit this mountain again. And they carved their symbols. They carved what they saw in the skies on what to look for. Whether it was going to be a flying serpent, a flying diamond, an orb, a light. They did all this for us. They documented all this for us, all right? All we have to do is go out there and learn, understand what they're talking about. And when you do, then you'll understand that what to look for, not only what to look for, because they're prehistoric photographs of these things, but also what months, when they're going to be back, when they're going to come back again, when are they going to leave. It's all documented for us, all around Phoenix, man. It's amazing. It's great. And the first year, it was cool, right? Second year, it repeated itself. Third year, repeated itself. That was it. Case closed. It was a huge pattern. So they're going down into the underworld. They're going down into that fault line. So the artist is trying to tell us that this boulder, where this is carved at, is an emergence point. This hole here, right? Because that's what Dave was telling me, Dave. He was telling me, well, that crack is the emergence point, is the doorway. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, how can a mild-shaped, V-shaped craft that everybody is talking about go into a little crack of the stone? right? Right? I mean, it must have been a big V-shaped spaceship, man. Which to this day has never been proven. But yet the rock art's talking about something, right? The rock art's talking about, and I'm like, dude, wait, okay, okay. I don't understand this yet. Until what? Maybe a week or two later, right? I'm watching South Mountain. I see this black orb, okay? I see this orb appear over South Mountain. I videotaped it. I filmed it. Goes across the mountain. Goes down. And then it goes into the stone. It goes into the mountain. I'm like, dude, where'd it go? I'm looking in my camera, like, whoa, did I miss something? What happened? Next day, I go out there to the exact same spot where I filmed this thing, and what do I find? I find a boulder with a spiral carving and the exact same orb that I filmed the day before, next to that spiral doorway. And then it started to dawn on me. Oh my God, dude, wait a minute. Okay, let's hold the phone here. Let's stop. Let's put on the brakes, man. I saw that thing go on the rock. I saw that thing go on the mountain. I filmed it. I saw it. I filmed it. Oh my God, dude, Dave was right. The Indians are right, man. There are doorways, right? It's not a myth. It's not crazy. It's happening. It's real. It just went in that damn rock. Wow. Right? Oh my God. And I kept watching and years and years and watching and understanding. And I mean, I still get amazed. I've seen it so many times. I'm an expert on this. I have seen these things for real. I've seen what they have done. And I tell you what, man, I've seen some crazy shit. I tell you what, it's, okay, it's not what everybody is thinking here. It's something totally different, people. I've been saying this for over 20 years now. This is something, no wonder they're not going to tell you what's here. But I am. I'm telling you what's here, and I want you to go out there and watch this. That's my whole objective here, is to bring people back to South Mountain, to bring people back to these petroglyphs and understand them. Because this is where the credibility is. This is where the answers are, is these mountains with these glyphs and the spirals. Now, not all mountains with petroglyphs are considered sacred or holy mountains. The mountains that you want to look for are the mountains with what the archaeologist likes to call anthropomorphs, shapeshifters. These weird-looking shapes that we see on the mountains, and spirals, right? You want to look for spirals. Now, there's other mountains around the world, other carvings, but it's not talking about what we're looking for. It's talking about hunting and gathering. It's talking about kachinas. It's talking about ceremonies, all right? That's completely different. What we are looking for is anthropomorphs, shape-shifting stuff, weird-looking creatures, right? Some would call some of these lizard men, right? Spirals. Spirals is a dead giveaway. That is what you want to start looking for when you're hunting these things, understanding the history. Because they're telling us what's going on. And they're telling us, look, it's a doorway. This is on South Mountain. This is like right under the pyramid. This is right under the pyramid here, of right up where Doug was standing in the photograph. This is really cool. So let's look at this. Let's examine this. This is a huge boulder that's in front of this pyramid hill. You can read more about this pyramid that I'm talking about in my book. So it's fascinating stuff. You got to check it out. It's only $3, dude. You can't beat it, right? Check it out. Spiral. Okay? Spiral. Right there. Okay? And it's going clockwise. And it's ending down, right? So the emergence point, the doorway is here. Now look at this guy here, right? And we know he's a regular man. We know he's a regular man because, for one, he doesn't have like an orb in his belly, and he doesn't have a tail. All right, so that's one of the ways you can tell if this is a regular human and not an anthropomorph or a shapeshifter or anything like that. This is a regular human because he doesn't have an orb in his belly, and he doesn't have a tail. Right? But he's next to this spiral. Now, look at this. This is interesting. I don't know if you can see this. I try to take a picture. This is very hard to see because, and you know what? Sometimes when you're out there on South Mountain, it's really kind of tricky too with the petroglyphs because sometimes the sun will bleach out some of these petroglyphs. I have walked on the same trails for like days, right? And I would walk right past petroglyphs because I couldn't see them because the sun has magically made them disappear. It's really weird. The petroglyphs are magical. They come and go, right? Because when the sun is over here, it's hitting that rock and it's making a glare and you won't see the petroglyph until the sun is over here or it's a cloudy day. That's probably the best time to look for glyphs is on cloudy days. Because that's when the glyphs, the sun isn't bleaching them out. They're sticking out, man. They're saying, here, I'm right here. But on a very sunny day, and if the glyphs are really old, the sun's going to beat down on those, man, and you won't be able to see them. I passed so many times by them, and until one day, I'm up there on a cloudy day, and oh my, where did that come from, right? It just magically appeared on the stone, right? Where did it come from? So this is really hard. My point here is really hard. You can see these triangles, okay? Very lightly triangles, okay? And actually there's a spiral here. Really, really hard to see. See if I can zoom this bad boy in. It's really hard to see. See if I can find the damn thing. There's a spiral. Okay, and the spiral is from the east side. Okay, it's on the east side of South Mountain. Like this is South Mountain. This is the east, and the spiral is connecting. Is connecting all these hills. All these pyramid hills is actually the pyramid hills behind this boulder. So when we're looking at petroglyphs, you have to look at the whole landscape because the artist is including the landscape in with the art. You have to step back and look at the landscape to understand what he's talking about. So in this particular art, he's saying that the energy, it starts, the doorway, oh, there's a spiral. You can barely see it. Excuse me. You can barely see it. The spiral is right there, okay? And it spirals, then it goes up into these pyramids. See that? All the way across. And when you step back from this boulder, you soon realize that there's pyramid hills all the way, starting from the east, going to the west. And that's what this rock art is telling us. The rock art is telling us that this is an energy source. That all of these rocks, all of these hills in the background of this boulder are energy sources, energy spots. And it's very hard to see. It's very, very hard to see, but the spiral is right there. Maybe if I zoom in, I can get a better look. Yeah, it just seems to make it worse, doesn't it? Well, and that's why I'm saying, it's sometimes, maybe we can see that now. You can see the beginning here, it spirals. See that? It spirals, gets bigger, and then it goes into these hills, right? And that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the energy. It's talking about the vortex. Now, so there's a lot. Oh my God. I see this all the time on social media, and there's so many people that want to see stuff, right? And this is just preposterous. I just about cracked up when I saw this. Okay? This is not talking about the space shuttle. I don't care what anybody says. This is not the space shuttle, all right? So you got to be careful about misinterpretations about things like this, all right? This rock art is not talking about the spaceships. I can't even, really understand this, okay? But I can guarantee you that it's not the space shuttle, okay? So I'm not sure where this rock is. I don't know the background to it. I don't know where it sits at. And so I can't clearly give you a correct interpretation of this because I don't have, there's a lot of information that's not there that I need to know before I can actually tell you what it is. But I can tell you what it's not, all right? It is not a space shuttle, all right? So you got to be careful about stuff like that. And all these rocks that you see on social media of aliens and spaceships, and they're supposed to be coming from Mexico, hoax. Don't believe it. It's not real. All right. That stuff is just that's all that stuff is hoax. You can't believe in stuff like that. God. That just blew me away. What do we got over here? Let's check this out real quick. Okay, so now this is a petroglyph on Holbrook Trail. And you can clearly see that's a sun, right? We know that's a sun. I mean, it's only obvious, right? Because, the holocoms, they were smart, dude. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they saw, and they were going to draw what they saw, right? So it's talking about the sun. But look at this thing here. See this pitchfork? Those of you who've been watching my channel for all these years, watching my work, and who's read my book, knows about these pitchforks, and they're very scary. Okay, so if you want to find out more about these pitchforks and what they represent and what they do, read the book. Understand? Look at the petroglyphs. Read the book. It talks about these pitchforks, and it's to me. I think they're scary. Okay, because the depictions on what these pitchforks are doing. No wonder the archaeologist doesn't want you to know about this. It's in the book. Okay, what else do we got here? Let's see what's this. Okay. Look at this rock art here. Now, this is in Tucson. As a matter of fact, we are right in the middle of planning an interview in Tucson talking about this petroglyph here. This could be the next show. I'm not gonna. It's pretty much set in stone. This weekend, I'm meeting a friend of mine. He's in from out of town, and we're gonna meet up here in Tucson, and we're gonna talk about these petroglyphs that are out here. And this is one of the spots. This is one of the petroglyphs here, and we're gonna be filming it. So this could be my next show is out there talking about, on location, talking about this rock art here. But let's talk about it now. So this is a spiral, right? And look at the way it's oriented. Look at the way it's going, okay? Let's look at that first. You see these mountains in the background? See that there? Look, there's even like a little pyramid there, right? And look at the spiral. And it's going counterclockwise. Like, it's a big spiral, guys. And look, it's ending right here in the crack, right? And it's also pointing towards those mountains. That is a clue. That is a clue. A clue. What's a clue, dude? That is a clue. Right? It's oriented. It's facing those mountain ranges in the back. And when we're on location out there, I'll go into more detail about this petroglyph and some of the other petroglyphs that are around in this location. It's going to be a great show. And so, yeah, we're going to film it this weekend. Can't wait for that. That is going to be fun. I haven't been out there in a few years. So it's going to be great to visit that location once again. What is this? Okay, that's a film. We've got any more rock art to talk about here? Yes, we do. This rock art here. Now look at this. This is interesting too, because what's like the number one rule here on understanding petroglyphs is you have to look at the whole landscape. So let's look at this. Look, this rock has been shaved. This rock has been cut. I mean, look at that. It's perfect. And then look at the hill back here. See how it, and it's oriented, right? It's facing that hill in the background. See that? And look at this. See that? And see these lines here, right? Interesting, isn't it? Oh, look at those little holes right there. It's not a coincidence, people. Look at that. Is that crazy or what? Isn't that neat? And it's facing that hill, that pyramid in the background. And so what? I mean, this is interesting too. You know, because I haven't explored out there. But what if this is a map? What if it's telling us that these are chambers? What if this is, you know, more to it? You know, when I was out there in the White Tank Mountains, there's a one special hill, Pyramid Hill out there, that is totally suspect to an ancient pyramid. It's been buried. Just like, you know, that's how these archaeologists were finding these pyramids in Mexico, because they were buried by rock and rubble and dirt. They buried these pyramids before they left. And so the archaeologists went in there and uncovered all these pyramids, right? And it looked like, you know, from a distance, it just looks like a regular hill. But to the trained eye, that's not a regular hill. That's not natural. That's a man-made hill. It's covering up something. It's covering up a pyramid. It may look like a regular hill to the naked eye, to someone who isn't trained on this. But for someone who's looking for things like that, I can probably guarantee you that this is a covered up pyramid. Just like there's a covered up pyramid on the White Tank Mountains. And there's probably more out there. South Mountain, that pyramid that was right above Doug's head there, that could be a man-made pyramid. After all, the rock art, look at my book. The rock art explains that that pyramid is special and it has a tomb inside of it. And as a matter of fact, the opening to that tomb is on the other side of that pyramid. And it's covered up with rocks and boulders. And during the equinox and the solstice, it casts a light in this chamber where these huge boulders are concealing the door. You can squeeze up in there. You can get up in there, and there's a little crack right above, and the sun will hit that, cast a light beam down on the ground, and as the sun moves, the light will move on the ground and go inside the pyramid, going inside the door. That's very sophisticated stuff. How did the Holocaust manage to do this? How are they smart enough to do that? How did they get these huge boulders there in the first place to block off the door? Right? Unless somebody very big, somebody very powerful. And what do the petroglyphs say? The petroglyphs depict giants. Giants. And there's so much evidence on South Mountains of giants. It's crazy. You have to look at the facts here. You have to look at what it's talking about and what you're, It's not just a myth. It's not just, they're telling you, dude. They're telling you, look, dude, there were giants here. They walked the land. And in some of these ancient scrolls, they talk about giants, right? Everywhere you go, when you do these ancient history texts and glyphs, there's always giants, man. Crazy. But that's where the evidence is talking about. That's what it's, that's what they're showing us here. That's what, that's the evidence. There's so much evidence on South Mountain. This is cool here. Look at this. This is a spiral. I can't remember. I want to say Checo Canyon, but I could be wrong. This isn't South Mountain. But look at the equinox here. Look how this light, look at the spiral. And see, this is something I'm talking about here. See the big boulder, right? The boulder. And so this is man-made. They placed these boulders here specifically on purpose so the light would come down and shoot a dagger of light through this pyramid, through this spiral. And look. See the crack? You see how the spiral is merging with this crack? See? Do you understand this now? That is the emergence point. That is the doorway. And the sunlight eventually will come up and will pierce this crack, telling us that this is the doorway to the underworld, to the energy spots. Pick up my book. So much light and shadow photographs there. I've went out there so many, year after year after year. I went out there and I documented each light and shadow petroglyph that I discovered, that I found, and I documented it. And it's crazy. Like there's this one, well, it's a complete Indian profile face. It's a perfect Indian face. How did they do that? They stacked all these boulders on top of each other, and they carved it in such a way that when the sun hits it in the right spot, it casts an Indian shadow face, man. A perfect profile of like a leader or a chief, right? And they just didn't discard the stones. The stones are sacred. They kept it. So all the rubble that they chipped away, they all placed it in the back. It's still there. It's not, scattered everywhere. They picked it up nice and neatly and they put it in the back because it's sacred. They didn't throw it away. They kept it. All the shavings, all the rubble, they put it in the back of their structure of these huge boulders that they made. It's just fascinating. It's just crazy fascinating. It's really, really cool. Okay, let's look at some of these glyphs. This is South Mountain. Now, there's a lot of misunderstandings on this type of symbol here. So a lot of people would misunderstand this as a spiral. But look, what is missing here? What are the two things that are missing from this? For one, it's not ending. We don't see an ending. And for two, they're not connected together. So this isn't a spiral. So when we look at the lights, and I'm going to show you some examples here. I'm going to show you the videos. When you look at these lights and you've seen them in the sky, they're kind of pulsating, right? They're rippling in the sky. They're rippling, right? It's all this plasma energy. It's spectacular. There's a dot in the middle, and they're pulsating. They're rippling. I believe this is what the artist is trying to tell us here. That this orb in the sky, this light, is rippling out. It's like water, right? When you throw a stone into the water, it ripples. That's what this is going on here. Excuse me. And then we have this one here, right? And the dot in the middle. We're going to get into this here. I'm going to show you this, right? This is great stuff. This petroglyph, we're going to see the video of this. It's just amazing, right? I'm going to show you what to look for here. I'm going to show you how this is proven facts. This is proven evidence. This is not hearsay. This is what we're all about here today, folks. We're not talking about hearsay. We're talking about stuff that we can prove. And we're going to do that tonight. Look at this. See? Let's see the orb and the circle and the dot in the middle. Here's another one. The dot in the middle. Let's put this aside for a minute. Let's just set this aside. Let's put that right there. Now let's look at another glyph. This one is really cool. This is very, very interesting. This is on the other side of Holbrook Trail. This is going west of Holbrook Trail. Isn't this fascinating? Look at this. Now, look, we have an orb. There goes that dot in the middle. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. There goes that dot in the middle, right? And it's got this line, right? Those of you who have picked up my book know what this line is and what it does. And look at this. Now, see this? Now, some people would say this is like a lizard, right? And some would say, oh, it's a chuckwalla lizard. Well, okay. I understand that, where you're coming from that there, right? Sure, But let's examine this for a minute. Look at this. Look at that. See that? See that? That circle there? That dot? See that? What if that is the orb, right? What if that's an orb in the sky? Hang on, bear with me. What if that's the orb? And what are they talking about here? They're talking about anthropomorphs. They're shape-shifting. They're mimicking animals, lizards, snakes, diamonds, squiggly lines in the sky. They're mimicking all this stuff. Because that is one of the interpretations here on South Mountain, is that when these things came up out of the sand world, they lost their tail to look like everyone else. They morphed. They shape-shifted. They changed shape. They came up. They went an orb. They morphed into a human. They lost their tail. Right? So, what if this is an orb? I mean, look how bright it's carved, right? Compared to the rest of it. So, the artist is really heavy on this, right? He's making a point on this. This is really standing out to us. Because look at it. Look how dark it is. See that? How dark it is? Compared to the rest of it. Now, this is dark too. This is dark also, right? But the arms and the neck is not as precise as the orb. See the arms there and the legs, right? So is the artist trying to tell us that this is an orb and it's going by a line? It's connected by this line emerging out of them into another orb? And is this an anthropomorph? Is these things coming out from this line? And is this other orb here connected to another anthropomorph, another entity, another UFO that we understand today? Is that what it's talking about here? Are we dealing with 3 living entities? Are we dealing with 3 UFOs here? Now, let's put this aside. Now, let's look at something very fascinating. Let's put this aside. Now, this is crazy stuff. Let's take a look at this UFO here. Now, I always say, look, make sure that you film them going away, because it's really important, because so many people are out there filming stars and planets and lights in the sky, and they're not showing them going away. Right? We have to see it go away, because there's just so much, out there now. We have to understand what's real and what's fake and what's, what someone is trying to make us believe. I mean, come on, we have to you know, we I don't want to be rude about it, but we have to make sure we know what we're looking at is real, is real UFO, and not, something man-made, right? Something either natural, celestial, or, balloon, or whatever, a star, planet, whatever. We have to see it go away. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This is great. Now, I forget where this was filmed at, but let's take a look at this. Let's look at this. Ooh, let's zoom in. Uh-oh. What do we see there? Look at this. Look. Do you see the resemblance here? Look. Look at this. Look. Let's move this up. Let's get this bigger. Look. Let's make this bigger. You see? See the circles there? See the circles here? See that? Look. You see the resemblance here. See what I'm talking about here? And what is it doing? It's like rippling, right? It's rippling in the sky. We have the dot. We have other circles going around it. Look at that. Look. This is what's credible here, folks. This is what we can prove. Let's go ahead and show the complete video. Don't forget about the dot. Don't forget about the dot in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and play it. Look at this. Isn't that great? Look at that. And that thing is just hanging in the sky there. And it's perfect. Now there's more. There's more of them. And the person is seeing this. Let me get these rock art out of the way here so we can see the full video. Give me a minute. I'll just put that over here for now. Look. This is great footage. I forget where this was filmed at. But there's one there, and then they see another one. They actually passed one. There it is, right there. There's another one. And look how it goes away. You see how it disappeared? That is what we're talking about, people. That is perfect. Mwah! Awesome. Beautiful. That is what we want to see. We want to see it disappear. Actually, there's 3 of them there, and he doesn't notice it. But he actually passes one up. Let's make the video smaller so we can see all of it. Look how it goes away. Perfect. Let's watch the video again. So here's the one he was focusing on at. And then, let's see if I can stop it real quick. So he sees another one, and he swings to the left. Boop. Boop. Right there. Well, we just passed it. But there was another one over there to the right in front of him. And then all of a sudden, that one just, look how it blinks away. It just vanishes, right? Perfect. This is great stuff. See if I can stop it. Dude. Yeah, because there's another one that he just bypasses. He misses it. But I'm glad he didn't in a way because and then he shows this one and it just fades away. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Now, keep that in mind. Now look what I filmed in 2004 on the east side of South Mountain. So here we have 2 of them. This is July 20th, 2004. Look at that. Look, there's 2 of them there. Right? Isn't that crazy? And then I noticed that there's 2 more over here. And, boop, well, I missed it. We'll go back to it here. Let's go back to it. There's a few things I want to point out real quick. So we have two there, and they're over the power plant, and I'll show you the power plant here in a minute. But I want to show you this real quick when I go over to the other ones on the right. When I notice two more on the right there. Let's stop it. Boop. Look, look, look. Look, look, look. Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? The dot, the dot, the dot in the middle. See that? Look, look, look. They look like eyes, right? They look like serpent's eyes, right? They're looking at us, people. They're looking at us, man. They're looking at us. They got the dot. See that? Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix lights connected to the petroglyphs on South Mountain. Look, look, look. You see the resemble here. Look at this. Look, look. We got the orb and we got the dot in the middle. See that? Okay. Now, let's go back here again. So, stop. Now, look at this. Where's my arrow? You see these lights here? All these little lights here? So, I'm at Mesa Community College. I'm up on the bleachers. This is 2004, right? I'm up on the bleachers of the football stadium looking towards South Mountain. I'm looking south. And then South Mountain would be to the west of me, to the right of me. Now, right in my path, right in front of me, is where these lights was appearing in the summer of 2004. Now, it just so happens that there's a power plant there. Pick up my book. You see a map there. And these lights were hanging right over this power plant. You see these little lights here? So this electric power plant has like these poles, whatever. They're coming up out of the power plant, and they have little airplane lights on them, you know, so airplanes don't run into them. So there's little anti-collision lights on there, and that's what these little lights are here. That's a regular not traffic, but that's a regular light, regular street light, regular street light, regular street light. But these little lights, that is the power plant. And these things are right over the power plant, over that energy. And look how close together they are. And so they want us to believe, well, we're seeing flares. These are flares. What? Okay, if they're illumination flares, right, then it would be lighting up the sky, and we would see the smoke. Why don't we see any smoke here? There's no smoke here. What's going on with that? Okay? But that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that flares are being dropped by South Mountain. They are magically appearing by South Mountain. And look. Look at the palm trees, right? If you look closely, it's windy. It's a windy day. But yeah, these things are motionless in the sky, right? Yeah, you can see the palm tree there. It's kind of moving there. And then look at those things, right? And that right there, that's kind of looking like, what some would call like a barbell. They're turning it into like this barbell. That's South Mountain radio lights, antennas that I just focused on over there. But these lights there, that is not normal. And then look. See, now there's only one, right? So maybe they merged together when I was concentrating on the other ones, or the other one disappeared. I've seen them merge together before. See how it just disappeared just like that? See that? Look. Watch carefully. If I didn't go away, look, look, look. Did you see how the other one just disappeared? Just like with that other video of that person filmed on how it just faded away? Right, see that? That is what we're looking for, people. When they just fade away like that. That is perfect. We want to catch that on film. That verifies. Look, do you see that? Perfect. Look how they just fade away like that. That's what we're looking for. I have filmed so many of these lights out there by South Mountain. It's just crazy. And so this is, what I'm looking for when somebody sends me something. I want to see it disappear. We have to verify that we're looking at something that's legit here. That's not, And I understand a lot of people, they don't understand that. They want to see a UFO. Yeah, so do I, right? But we have to make sure that we're really looking at what we're looking at, right? We have to make sure, okay, that it's not, a piece of paper flying through the sky, that it's not, an airplane or a flare. So we have to familiarize what is natural in the sky before we go searching for something that's not natural in the sky. We have to understand this. We have to understand what it looks like on film. We have to understand what it looks like in front of our face. And always, always, always make sure that you see it first before you start filming. Because, just filming open sky and then have something zoom across the sky like that, that's not credible to me. That could be anything. That could be a bug. That could be a piece of paper, right? Make sure that you see it first in the sky, because you don't know what you're looking at. Stuff like that is not credible. And I just can't believe on some of these other so-called, sky watchers that are doing this, and they'll just focus on the mountain and they'll just film a couple minutes, and then they'll go back and they'll slow it down. They're looking for something, right? And they look in, and then they see this bug fly across the screen. Oh, that's a UFO. Oh, right? Come on now. Let's make sure you see it in the sky first. You got to verify it first, man, because it could be anything. It could be anything. Are we done on this side? Looks like. Okay, what's going on over here? Let me look over here. Okay. Now, this is crazy. I'm not sure where this came from, who sent this to me, but I found this. This is pretty interesting. This is this type of stuff that we're looking for. Isn't that weird? Look at that. It's stuff like this, man. This is what the petroglyphs are kind of talking about. May 1993. Wait, did it just tell us right there where it was filmed at? In Florida. It was filmed in Florida. Look at this. And doesn't that resemble some of the petroglyphs we see? Right? So they're not depicting spaceships. And the rock art that you see with spaceships in it, fake. Okay? Don't get into that stuff. Don't get into these little boulders that you see on the internet with an alien guy and he's next to a flying saucer. Hoax, man. Misleading information. That is part of the problem here. It's those kind of people that are adding fuel to the fire on what's real and what's not. Okay? They're confusing you. All right? And so we can't be confused. We have to understand what is real and what is not. And I'm here to try to help you with this. Because I have seen them. I've seen these things. I know what to look for. And when I see a spaceship like that, it's just off the wall. It's BS, dude. Don't buy into this. What is credible is the petroglyphs. Okay, the petroglyphs are credible because they were carved way before we were even born, people, right? And so they saw these things. They saw the serpents. They saw the orbs. They saw the lights. They saw the diamonds. They saw the flying crosses. They saw these flying zigzag-looking things, right, that look like cigars or cigarettes, man, all right? That is what's credible. That's what we need to start looking for, right? Don't blow off these petroglyphs. These petroglyphs are important. They're written photograph. They're a prehistoric photograph of UFO sightings. the exact same sightings that we're seeing today. And I'll give you another secret. They're the same ones. I don't believe these things die. I believe the ones that we're looking at now are the ones that the ancient ones saw thousands of years ago. These are the same ones. So when you see them in the sky, remember, the ancestors saw them in the sky too, the exact same one. Crazy, huh? I think this is the final one. And this is interesting. Even though he didn't film it leaving, I still find this video fascinating. Oh, okay. Is that it? Because just the way, I mean, let me show you. Let's go ahead and play this. Look at that. Isn't this interesting? Let's examine this video for a minute. Let's take a look at this. So it's on the water. Look how it's perfect. He's perfect. He's zooming out, right? He's given us the vantage point. He's given us, you know, his perspective, right? That's perfect. That's beautiful. He's telling us, look, he's zoomed out, man. All right? He's telling us how far it is, okay? And so that's way off there in the distance, right? And what's interesting too is, let me pause this for a minute. Let's see. Let me get this to a perfect place here. And what I find interesting too is, look, we have to examine the video here to make sure it's not hoaxed or faked. And one of the ways we can do that, let me back up, is the comparison to the mountain. So let me get a good shot of it here. Stop. So look at the mountain here. And look at this, right? It's the same color. It's the same distance. Okay? And so this is either this is real or it's a very clever hoax CGI. And I've studied this many times, and I've been looking at this over and over, and I believe it's real. Even though he doesn't film him leaving the sky, he does everything right. Okay? First of all, he films, he sees it, he zooms in. He notices that it's something that he's never seen before. Then he hits record. He's using a video camera, not a cell phone. He's using a video camera. So he zooms in, he makes sure that it's not normal, he hits record. Then he pans out to give the viewer, us, the perspective on how far these objects are. Right? And in doing so, he unexpectedly, unknowingly this, he's telling the trained eye, such as myself, that this isn't a hoax because it's the same distance as the mountain, right? Let's go ahead and play it. Right? So that's what we want to look for. Well, that's some of the things we want to look for in analyzing videos. And look, see how the mountain is and compared to look how these things are, right? And it's not most CGI stuff. The UFOs are crisp and clean, while the rest of the video is foggy and has noise in it. I call it noise, distortion, if you will, right? But the fake UFO videos, the videos, the spaceships or whatever they're trying to tell you is a real UFO, is clean, is perfect. There's no noise in it at all. There's no video noise. There's no distortion. It's perfect. It's clean. It's crisp. That is suspicious, right? We want something that blends in with the grain, and that's what it's doing here. That's what these things are doing. It's blending in with the noise in the camera, if you understand what I'm talking about here. They're not crisp and clean. And so he's just checking this out. He's like, wow, what is this? And And he's watching them and he's filming them, and look at the mountain there. So he gets a good shot of the mountain, right? And it's the same color. It's the same distance. You even have some ducks there. Isn't that crazy? See? He zooms out. It's perfect. Then he zooms back in. Doug is asking, when did this video come out? Well, I'm not too sure which video you're talking about, Doug. Sorry about that. You'll have to PM me and ask me on which video you were talking about there. But, yeah, and then look. And then see? I mean, he keeps zooming in, zooming out. That's what I would do. That's what I do. You know, I zoom out, I get a perspective on, or a perspective on how far the object is, where it's at. And finally, he just like gives up and he stops. He stops recording, and the video loops, and now it's replaying again. Isn't that cool? Way cool. So that's some of the stuff that you want to look for in analyzing videos. Even though he didn't film them going away because they were sitting there probably forever. And who knows exactly what it is. It looks interesting. It looks good. I don't believe this is a hoax. I mean, energy lines and fault lines and ley lines, if you will, is, over oceans and waters. Of course they are. So these things could be hovering over some type of energy line right there. So, yeah, I mean, there's a mountain there, right? So the mountain, the ley lines, the fault line could have made that mountain. And if anyone would to go over there and look for spirals, there might be spirals on that mountain. So, yeah, this is a good video. Even though he didn't film him going away, he did everything right unknowingly, right? For someone, to be analyzed, right? He's an amateur, you can tell. But he's doing everything right. He's zooming out. He's giving us perspective on how far they're at. He's unknowingly showing the mountain, and the mountain matches the UFOs because it's the same color, it's the same distance, things like that. So yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in this first episode of the Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky. 2023. Oh my God. Haunted Encounter Adventures. Check that out. And also go pick up your copy of the Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky, the covered up history of Phoenix, Arizona. It's only $6, you guys. $3 a copy. So you can't beat it. Lots of great stuff in there. Make sure you write your review. Put some 5 stars on there for me. I would really appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any questions, just private message me, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Where is my music? Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.